Okay, so thanks to the organizers for allowing us again to give you an update on what's been happening on the archive side in the past year. And again, unfortunately, Ardon is unable to attend this year. Ardon, who is now the recipient of Scientific Achievement Award of the RMS late last year, so that was very nice. So there are also 2 posters. Unfortunately, only one presenter because Simone became ill, so she had to cancel her participation. But Jack is around, and we'll try to get the posters together. And then between Jack and me, we'll hopefully be able to answer all your questions about EMBL and Empire that you may still have after this presentation. Just to briefly remind you where EM data gets archived. Cryo is, of course, of interest to most of you. Raw data to Empire. Maps, tomograms, and models go to EMBL and PDB, which are both now worldwide protein data bank archives. Volume EM data and also some X-ray microscopy data can also go to Empire, and everything else, histology, whatever, can go to the bioimage archive also at the EBI. So this captures sort of what happened last year in terms of numbers for the archive. So the growth of EM is still amazing. So it's roughly 40%, both in EMBL, Empire, and PDB in terms of the number of entries released year on year. So that means that every 2.5 years, EMBL, for example, doubles in size, which is amazing. There's a pub quiz question below, and remind me at the end to give you the answer as well. And the answer may surprise you. Is a clickbaity sentence to keep you awake till the very end, hopefully. So first, a little bit about the EMBL archive. As I said, it's managed now since 2021 by the Worldwide Protein Data Bank Consortium. So that adds a lot of sustainability and security to the archive. So it's managed by 5 partners, and also PDB China has come online last year, and they've started annotating PDB and EMBL entries in 2022. So that's very positive, and we also expect PDB India to come online in the not too distant future. As I said, EMBL keeps growing at an amazing rate. So 3 years ago, when the pandemic started, we printed 800 posters celebrating 10,000 EMBL entries, which we're going to distribute at all the meetings in the summer of 2020. If anyone wants a poster of 10,000 EMBL entries, let me know, because we still have 750 left, I think. But now already we've gone past 25,000, and Jack did some fitting of the growth curve, and we now expect that in 2 years' time we'll already be at 50,000 if this continues, and then by 2028 we could have 100,000 entries. So it's really it boggles the mind, and it stays exponential. And also EMBL celebrated its 20th birthday last year. So 1 more year and it can buy a beer in a bar in the US. There's been a change in which continents contribute the most entries to EMBL. So China has taken off enormously, which means that Asia has last year overtaken Europe as the number 2 spot of continents producing the most EMBL entries. The US and North America is still number 1, but Asia is rising very, very rapidly. This is a figure that shows a very nice illustration of the resolution revolution. So it shows the percentage of entry released per year in various resolution bands. So you see that up until 2014, 2015, there was hardly anything better than 4 angstrom. And last year, it was 75% of the released entries were better than 4 angstrom. So it's a very nice illustration of the revolution. On the archive management side, the deposition, etc. We've done a lot of work on the OneDep system. We do a lot more quality control, which leads also to more checks in OneDep. We've improved the validation pipeline. We added Q-scores, for example, and some of these nice false color images. And also we provide status information now publicly for all the entries in the archive. And in the coming year, there's a long list of things that we're going to do, but they include improving the handling of composite maps, better support for micro-ED, and also capturing facility information and making facility and country information available to the public. So I want to say a few words about quality assurance, because every week there's a Jack goes through all the 200 entries that are going to be released that week, and he looks at the FSC curves, etc. And so every week we find issues with entries that have escaped attention, both of the depositors and the annotators. So we look at these things and we when necessary, we come up with improved checks in the deposition system to try and prevent these things. Some of the things we come across are really totally unexpected. So it turns out that hundreds of entries in the EMBL-EBI that are called tomograms are not really tomograms. I have a slide about that in a minute. An error that I couldn't have possibly imagined. So we've seen atoms that are outside the map, but there are also almost 200 entries that have atoms outside the box. So they're not even in the box that contains the map. So that leads to problems with validation, and that's how we detected this issue. And then, of course, half maps has only been mandatory for about a year, so there's still some teething issues there as well that we'll address. So these are just two examples of these outside of the box thinking. So please don't do that to your models. So I said a lot of entries are misannotated, so they've been labeled as tomograms, and that means that you can deposit them quicker because there's a lot less questions asked and metadata to provide. But unfortunately, of course, it makes that it screws up the statistics, and it's more difficult to find true tomograms, etc. So we've been thinking of ways to try and detect this automatically as soon as files have been uploaded, and it's said that they are tomograms. We first thought that we could do it with rules of thumb, but they're not good enough. So Jack has been playing with some deep learning algorithms, and so built a little system that can now already classify fairly well, especially the subtomogram averages that are called tomograms. We can identify quite easily automatically already. So if you want to know more about that, talk to Jack at this poster. Empire has also grown enormously, so we're close to our 3rd petabyte. Now we've had, last year we had 1,000 released. We're now on our way to 1,300, I think. We also have origin data now, so the US, by far the biggest depositor of raw data to Empire. UK, a very good second, and here we see that China is actually lagging behind. So they have, like, I think 5,000 entries now in the EMBL-EBI, with only a handful of raw data sets. So we were trying to find out how we can promote that in China to make it more easier or more common for them to do this as well. We also have all this country data for Empire already online, so you can go, if you look for a chart in EM-Stats, Empire, and then country, you will get a world map, and you can mouse over your favorite country, and you'll see how many entries there are. And if you then click on your country, it will launch a search, and it will show all the entries from that country in Empire. And we'll have similar functionality for EMBL-EBI in the future. Empire is growing. Also, the entries are growing on average. So last year, more than 60% of the entries that we released were bigger than 1 terabyte. And also the number of EMBL-EBI entries that have data in Empire is growing. It's linear rather than exponential, but it's still healthy to see the growth. In terms of the holdings, 90% of the data sets in Empire are cryo, EM or tomography raw data sets, but we also have almost 10% now of volume EM and X-ray microscopy and correlative data sets in the archive already. And also, I'd like to point out, we have a mirror site in Japan at PDBJ. So if anyone's listening to this from Asia, it might be faster if you download from that mirror site. And if you're in Japan, PDBJ also offers help with deposition of your data, so you don't have to do it yourself. They can do it for you if you're in Japan. And then just recently there was this announcement on the CCP-EM mailing list, project called CryoPPP, which is a very nice example of reuse of all this raw data. So they selected about 300 micrographs each from 32 EMBL entries, did a lot of processing and adding value, and then made those available again as a ground truth data set for developing and testing machine learning methods for protein particle picking. So there's a preprint in bioRxiv. Okay, some news about EMBL-EBI on the resource side, the website, etc. So there's been some improvements to the website. We've launched this EMIC system, which I'll explain in a second. Lots of new graphs in the EM stats, and also the validation analysis resource. We've made some improvements. On the website, we have very full taxonomy information now, so you can get, if you want to search for entries for a particular species, or wherever you want to search on the taxonomy tree, you can do that now. We've launched this EMIX and integrated it in the search system and the entry pages. The charts I'll come back to. Some of the validation data is now also indexed, so it means you can do searches on including Q-scores or author-provided resolution or FSC-based resolution, etc. And also in EM stats, you can plot things like Q-score versus resolution if you're interested in those kind of things. And also in the search system, you can now sort your hits by average Q-score if you want that. So EMIX, which we launched in December, I think I mentioned it last year already. It's if you've heard of SIFTs, which does for the PDB, what EMIX does for EMBL-EBI. So for every EMBL-EBI entry, we find related information in other resources. It can be PubMed, it can be UniProt, it can be AlphaFold-DB, and we bring that together in XML files that, of course, mostly of use for big resources that host the EMBL-EBI data, but also on our website in the search system, on the entry pages, etc. On the EM stats side, I mentioned we have a lot of new graphs and new ways of styling the graphs so you can customize a lot more. But we also have a chart builder now, which is in beta. So that means you can design your own charts, and anything you can capture in a search system query, you can then visualize. And I'll show an example of that in a second. This is just a long list of all the new stats that we've added, or the graphs that we've added in the past year. So just, whether it's if you're interested in microscope usage per year or Q-score versus resolution, all these things are new and available. So this customizer, it's going to have two applications. One will be, there will be a button in every plot in EM stats which says customize, and then you go to a form like this and you can change the colors or the labels, you can translate them into French, whatever you want to do. But also you'll be able to design your own queries from scratch, using terms from search system queries to select which entries you want to see in a plot. So we've made a little example. If you want to look at it, you can go to this URL. So say you're writing a review paper and you want to see over the past 10 years, which virus families have gone in and out of fashion in terms of their popularity in EMBL-EBI. So that is very easy to do now. You can define with search system queries like this, family name, Coronaviridae, whatever. You can define what you want to count, how you want to color it, what you want to call it, and if you hit generate, it will generate the plots for you. So it shows the obvious thing, of course. After 2019, coronavirus is blowing everything else away. So these are the absolute numbers, and then you can customize the plot and show it as a stacked percentage plot. So you can see up until 2017 or so, retroviruses were by far the biggest family studied and deposited in EMBL-EBI. And now, of course, it's the coronaviruses. So these kind of plots you can make in a matter of minutes, as long as you can express the selection in a search query. The validation analysis resource, we launched it officially in October last year when the paper came out in the CCP-EM proceedings from last year. Just to remind you, we have a three-tiered strategy for developing this resource and for developing and selecting which metrics we want to include at various stages. So there are the validation analysis pages, which are very long and have loads of detail, and they include all sorts of new metrics of which we don't yet know, which ones are going to survive in the end and become part of, for example, the validation reports. So if you're a specialist EM person, you probably want to see these pages because there's a lot of stuff there. Then we've selected some of those, and they will go on the entry pages. So for every entry in EMDB, we have a set of entry pages, and there's a validation tab, which will contain then a subset of all these things. And finally, when things are tried and tested and everyone agrees this is a sensible or useful metric or visualization method, then they end up in the WWPDB validation pipeline and the reports that you get when you deposit data. So in the past year, we worked a lot with Greg Pintley, who developed Q-score to make sure that this got implemented in all three tiers. We added new methods and graphs and images. So we do a map model FSC now, for example. We show the distribution of the Q-score. We visualize Q-score on the 3D structure. It's been integrated into CCP-EM, and when I made the slide, I said soon to be released, but I heard from Matt it was released today, so very soon. And so in the coming year, EMIX, we're going to add more resources. MStats, we're going to launch the chart builder and write some documentation first. If you have any request for types of pre-made graphs that you would like to see, we can consider to add those as well. We have a number of validation methods that have already been implemented in the tier one, so the long list of validation metrics. We just haven't visualized them yet, so we're working on that at the moment. And once we've done that, we're going to do an archive-wide analysis of a variety of map model fit criteria to see which ones provide the most useful information. And then we're going to add more validation metrics to tier one as well. And then, as you may have seen, we are trying to recruit a new team leader to take over EMDB from Ardan, so Ardan can focus on Empire. And of course, when this person comes in, they will have their own ideas as well. On the Empire side, lots of little things. So last year we got a complaint from Julia, who said that why is my name not on the entry page that I've deposited? I'm the author, and it turned out that we show the authors on the home page of Empire, but not on the actual entry pages. So now they're at the top of the page. There's the list of authors of the actual data set. So that can be very different from the authors of the paper in which the data set was used. We made it very easy to claim your entries to your ORCID profile. So if your organization or your funders may be interested to see how much output you produce other than just publications, so you can add your Empire entries to your ORCID profile. We support some new data types. For example, serial section ET was a new one for us. We launched a sample preparation widget, in which you can capture sample preparation workflows for volume EM at the moment. So you can have a look at that if you like. And again, we're collecting more statistics. And another change is that Andri, who has been developing the whole deposition system and the website, etc., is coming to his 9 years at EMBL, and that means that EMBL kicks you out. So, well, the good thing for you guys is there's going to be a brilliant developer on the job market very soon. So if you want to talk to him, please do. And also that Sriram will be taking over from him as the lead developer for the 1st of June. And then Matt told you about an hour ago about our work with CCP-EM on making it easier to deposit directly from CCP-EM to Empire. And the last few minutes, I want to say a little bit about Volume EM. I think last year I introduced the community initiative that started in the UK, and that's now a global thing for this area. And the quiet revolution, as it used to be called, is starting to make some noise. So there's a lot happening. We got some funding from CZI, so we'll be able to hire 3 people for 2 years who are going to take care of developing the community initiative further, so that we can step back a little bit. Nature has picked up on Volume EM and called it one of its 7 technologies to watch for 2023. So that was very nice in January. And just last week, Nature Methods published a comment about both Volume EM as, you know, what can it do for biologists, but also about this community initiative, and hopefully we'll get more people involved worldwide. And finally, there's the first Volume EM Gordon conference is going to take place in California in July. So if you're interested in that, you're welcome to apply for that. And with that, I'm on time. So, but I remember I owe you the answer for the pop quiz. So any guesses? So the ratio PDB depositions to EMBL depositions was 55 when I started at EBI in 2009. Any idea what it was last year? 3. It was 2.3 already last year. So that's maybe I should have said that.
Is that crystal to it?
No, this is just PDB depositions over EMBL depositions. No, so it's now only 2. So, you know, we're very, very close to getting to the singularity where there'll be more EM depositions, I think, even in the PDB than extract. So remember the Henderson, I don't have an update first, but the Henderson plot predicted that this was going to happen around this time. So it really is happening. This is the geographic origins by country, where you can see that China is really taking off and keeping the same growth as the US, and Germany is now slightly bigger than the UK in terms of its output. Anyway, I'm on time for once, so I'd like to thank you for your attention. I'm happy to take some questions, or otherwise during the meeting or at the posters. Thanks.
Thank you very much.